So, as someone that recently got their private pilot's license, I want to come on here to the internet and share today some of the tips and some of the things I really wish I had done differently that even some people sometimes suggest that you do when you're going to get a private pilot's license that don't seem that important. I really want to get those across of how important some things are when getting a private pilot's license. That will save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and most importantly, a lot of money. And also some things that I did do correctly that I would just like to share so that other people know that these things do in fact work. Yeah, the first thing I would like to share is mainly the confidence, or just doing the thing. What I would call the just go for it. The main thing here is it's never going to be the perfect time to go, get your private pilot's license. It always feels like you could save up a little bit more money. You could get some more free time. Same with the check rides, and your solo, especially your first solo. You might not feel ready, but if you go out there and your CFI is ready, it tells you you're ready. If you're doing all the maneuvers, if you handle unexpected situations properly, if you handle the radios, especially going out there while it's a bit busy and you have to coordinate with other pilots and ATC to find your way back into the ground for doing your first solo. If you can do that with your instructor, you can do it without your instructor. I would say that is a pretty good way to tell. Your instructor will know, trust him or her, and just go for it. At some point, even if you don't feel like you can do it, by the time you will have landed and after you have done it, you might even still feel the same, like, I can't believe I did that. How the hell did they let me up there? Because you can do it. You really just, at that point, you just can do it and trust it. Same for the check ride. If you're going through all the test prep, if you've been through all the, mock check rides, and you nail the maneuvers, like basically at least like 80% of the time, then you're good. There's no reason to keep waiting or keep practicing or just throwing money into flight hours. Just go for it at that point. Now, second thing I want to mention is, even though yes, everybody says it, it really is important that you fly often. I was one of those that during, I think, a holiday season, during my training, I went like 3 months, exactly 3 months on the dot without flying. And it felt like my bank accounts felt like they took a breather. Everything was like, my finances were just doing a lot better during that time. Like my savings for private pilots were not depleting and it felt good. However, going back into it, you can really feel just how rusty you get without flying. Especially if you're flying once a week, I would say, I'm sorry to say, that is going to take you a very long time, at least 2 years in my experience. It didn't take me 2 years, it took me just a little bit over a year because I do have a full-time job and I can't fly, that's not the weekends. Sometimes, like during the summer, I did get flights after work, but try to fly at least 3 times a week. That is really the best, the most efficient way to do it. And only that way will you actually get the most for your money. Even if you're spending most up front, yes, it will save you a lot more in the long run. And trust me, I didn't think that would be the case when I went on a 3-month hiatus, and absolutely, I really regret going on that, going 3 months without flying. I really wish I didn't do that at the end, seeing just how much money it took me to get back into it. Another thing that's really important, and this point is more of a ground school thing. If you don't understand something in aviation, you will have to understand it. I know many of us, myself, if you can memorize the concept in school and just ignore it, that's cool. Just memorize how to, going like a zombie, answering the test and get it done. That works. that doesn't work in aviation. That you will have to at some point come back to it. So it's better that you just ask the question right away. If you're doing ground with your instructor, or you're going over the sporties, my ground, I use sporties for my ground training, or with anyone, or any resource that you're looking up. If you don't understand something that is, part of your aeronautical decision making or understanding of the airplane or how to fly, ask, figure it out, because the last thing you want is to get to your check ride and not know something that could potentially make you fail. No one told me, and this is something I really wish someone had told me at the beginning, is getting through all the ground school first will save you a ton of money. Because paying basically a private tutor to teach you all the knowledge is expensive. Don't get me wrong, the experience is cool. Being able to ask every single question and all the things that you're interested in is super cool. But a lot of times, after having gone through the ground school while preparing for my check ride and going through the last of my sporties course, I realized that I could have learned a lot of the same content on my own. And that is not something you want to do, because especially like if you already paid for something like the course on sporties, then you already paid for that. You already paid for that knowledge. You can get it there, and there's no reason to double pay for it, especially more. It ends up being even more expensive if you get it somewhere else. Even if you can finish the sporties ground course or any resource of your choice to get through all the ground before even stepping foot on a plane, go for it. Or at the very least, anticipate it. Get the knowledge before you go into the ground, so that way you only are getting over it. And so basically just to get the signature from your instructor saying this guy knows everything that's needed, it's ready to go onto the check ride. That is a lot cheaper than paying for double instruction essentially. Something else that's really important is bookmarking, I will say. Especially if you use ForeFlight or your study guides, whatever it is. What I'm trying to get to here is that you cannot just Google stuff during your check ride. Depending on your DPE, mine was really strict and almost basically didn't allow me to Google basically anything. Luckily, I had studied a lot before that and I didn't need to. However, if you get asked a question during a mock check ride and you don't know it, just Googling it will not be enough, because who says that the random web page that you stumbled upon looking for the answer has the correct information? The FAA had nothing to do with writing that, so it's not valid. Therefore, you have to, while you're studying for the first time, or the first time you come across something that you know you will need, that it is very important, that is just a random miscellaneous number that you know you need to memorize, bookmark it. Because when you're asked about it, and you need to back it up with a source, only FAA resources are valid, and it will save you so much time not having to bookmark and look through everything the week before your check ride just to know where everything is. Just as you start studying, bookmark everything. Something someone else might have said, and you will see it sometimes repeated, but I will really like to hammer this one down, is progress is not linear. Especially for landings. Landings, you will start getting better at them, and one day you will just really give your tailbone a run for its money. You will really end the main landing gear too. You will slam that Cessna or Piper, whatever you're training on the runway, and you will feel like you're not progressing, but it's good to know. That is one of the things that I knew going into it. And it just helped me so much knowing that I wasn't doing it wrong. As you're going, you know that you're expected to do those things. Some days you'll be just really tired, and that is another thing. And I'll add another point to this same section. Being tired impacts your ability to fly so much. I severely underestimated this at the beginning. Flying first thing in the morning 10 a.m., having had a good night's sleep, and going up for the pattern work, versus having spent all, woken up, went to the gym, went to work, drove to the flight school in a hurry with pressure. There was traffic. You get there, you all do everything under pressure. You're already stressed and tired. It is both good to be able to do it, to know how much it impacts you. So if you can do that with a CFI, you have a day where you say, oh man, I really don't feel like flying today. Still do it with a CFI, because you will figure out just how much stress and fatigue affects you, because that is also part of your aeronautical decision making, and it will help you gauge a lot whether or not you're even ready for the check ride the night before or the morning of. Then remember, progress is not linear, and be mindful of your stress and fatigue. That is, it will impact how well you perform, and when you don't perform as well, not that it's not that it's not your fault, but it is normal for you to have off days, and even those are good experience. Lastly, I would like to point this one out. I think this is actually the most important thing in aviation that maybe even CFIs forget. I don't know what helps. No one really, it is implied, but no one, at least in my case, no one told it to me as is, but it is building habits. Aviation, so far at least for me, as a brand new private pilot with 113 flight hours, aviation is all about building habits. From the first time that you take control of the rudders just for taxiing to simple turns, you first learn it, to do it manually. You have to think it, you have to do it, you have to be conscious of every single movement that you do. But as you go on, all those things become second nature. Taxiing, braking, almost everything starts off as a manual thing that then becomes a habit. And something really important in that note is that whatever you think, you say, oh, I'll just do it later, you won't. Especially under pressure. Checklists, especially the after landing checklist, if you're on your 7th landing of the day doing pattern work and you're like, ugh, why do I do it again? At least do get it out, look at it. Even if you already know what to do, you just do keep all the motions, make them the habit that will show up again on its own during your check ride. I at least had it that I always thought, oh, on the day of the check ride, I will remember to do my safety briefing for what happens if I take off and I lose my engine and all that. I forgot. I rehearsed it the day before. I said I would do it, but under pressure, trying to just get things going. I had never practiced it. I'd never turned it into a habit. I didn't do it. I had to, after the first landing, I had to own up to it. I said, I'm sorry, I forgot to do the safety briefing for the first takeoff. I will do it this time. And I did it, and I DPE did say, like, yeah, you should have done it. You recognized it, you fixed it. That was fine. However, do anything that you know you will have to do for your check ride, or you will have to memorize, and you have to do it again, do it. Otherwise, odds are it will not happen. You will not remember, and you won't do it. And that's another point that if that's the defining thing that makes you fail, you'll be kicking yourself for days. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. I will try to stay more online if you like this sort of content. If you made it all the way through, wow, amazing. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.